He spent 26 years in prison, convicted and sentenced to death by hanging, all because a bread knife was found in his room. This is the story of Jide Odusanya from Nigeria, who was arrested in June 1991 for a case of assault, only for him to wake up in the police custody the next morning facing an armed robbery charges that led to his death sentence by hanging, all because a bread knife was presented as evidence against him. There was no robbery victim, no stolen items, just a bread knife. That evening in Ebutemeta, Lagos State, Nigeria, a minor disagreement between Jide Odusanya and a mechanic suddenly escalated. It all started over something painfully simple: water. Water fetched from a nearby tap by the mechanic spilled into Jide's window, leading to argument between Jide and the mechanic. What started as a verbal exchange suddenly turned into a fight, and in the process, a young brother of Jide's friend who was in Jide's room at that time intervened in the fight and struck the mechanic with a piece of wood in his head, leaving the mechanic injured. In the early hour of the next day, police officers from Impori Police Station in Ebutemeta, Lagos State, arrived at the scene of the incident, which was Jide's house. Jide Odusanya was arrested. At the time of the arrest, Jide believed he would be questioned and released to go, or at worst he would be charged for assault. But unknowingly to Jide, his story was about to change forever. Initially, the incident was treated as a case of assault. However, while Jide was in police detention, the charge suddenly changed. The police claimed they had recovered a bread knife from Jide's room, an ordinary kitchen item, which was later presented as an evidence. And on that basis, the case was reclassified from a case of assault to a case of armed robbery, which was a capital offense in Nigeria at that time, and it attracted a death sentence. There was no robbery victim, there was no stolen property, and there was no planned attack. Yet, Jide was formally charged with armed robbery and was remanded in Ikoyi prison. From 1991 to 1998, Jide Odusanya remained behind bars, moving from one prison facility to another prison facility. For 7 years, Jide waited. No trial, no judgment, no resolution. Those years were marked by overcrowded cells, uncertainty, and a moment of helplessness as his case remained stalled in the courts. After nearly a decade in prison, Jide Odusanya was finally brought before a court in Lagos State. Despite glaring inconsistency in the prosecution case and the absence of reliable evidence linking him to armed robbery, the court convicted him of armed robbery and he was sentenced to death by hanging just because a bread knife was presented as an evidence in court. Jide was immediately transferred to death row, where he joined countless others whose life depends not on truth, but on signatures, appeals, and political mercy. In 2001, something happened, but not justice. The then governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reviewed many death row cases and commuted Jide Odusanya's death sentence to life imprisonment. Yes, his life was spared, but his freedom was not restored. Jide remained in prison. From 1991 to 2017, Jide was trapped in a cycle of prison transfer, including Kirikiri Maximum Prison in Lagos State and other prisons in and outside Lagos State for 26 years. Finally, in 2017, under the administration of Governor Akiwumi Ambode of Lagos State, Jide was granted amnesty. After 26 years of wrongful imprisonment, Jide walked out of prison a free man. No court formally declared him innocent. No compensation was paid to him. no apologies was issued. Jide aged behind bars. He lost family time, opportunity, health, and dignity. Yet, he had only one choice before him: to struggle and rebuild his life in a society that had moved on without him. His story is a reminder that justice must be served through the rule of law and clear evidence, not by assumption or hearsay, and that human life is not what the court can destroy and later come back to say sorry. This is not just a Nigerian story. This is a human story.